Tennis has always organized itself around towering dynasties. For more than 2 decades, the legendary trio, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic, each with their own unique style, defined the game. Their era was magnificent, a golden age of achievement. But like those eras before, it was destined to end. The question was who could replace them? Is it a young Nadal or perhaps a new Federer? The answer is no. It was the joyful smile of a Spaniard whose forearm sounded like thunder. But he isn't going to be the next Nadal. He isn't even the next Djokovic. Carlos Alcaraz is the next Alcaraz, and a new era has officially begun. The Carlos Alcaraz story begins far from the roar of Arthur Ashe Stadium. It begins on the quiet clay courts of El Palmar, Spain. Born into the life of tennis, his father served as director at a local academy, Real Sociedad Club de Campo de Murcia, which meant that tennis was not just a hobby, but rather a birthright. And from the moment he picked up a tennis racket, Carlos Alcaraz displayed an obsession, a prodigious natural talent, and a relentless drive that no one could take away. Then came a moment, one that would completely change his life. After being discovered by Albert Molina at the age of 11, he was introduced to former world number 1, Juan Carlos Ferrero. Known as the Mosquito for his relentless movement, he immediately recognized Alcaraz's raw ability. But what stood out the most was the mental drive and the innocent joy for the brutal work required to reach the top. By 2018, now at age 14, his rise began, tearing through the Challenger Tour ranks and announcing his arrival with a series of spectacular upsets. It wasn't just the wins, but how he won, a willingness to risk and improvise that belied his age. His first breakthrough came on the ATP Tour in July of 2021. Alcaraz entered the Umag Open in Croatia, dismantling everyone to claim his first career title. He didn't just beat anyone, but took down Olympic bronze medalist Richard Gasquet. Now, the Prodigy was a contender. But this was just the start. The momentum became an explosion in 2022, conquering the ATP 500 level and securing the title at the Rio Open in Brazil. Then came his first ATP Masters 1000 crown in Miami. But this was just the start. It all culminated dramatically at the 2022 U.S. Open, when at the age of just 19, Carlos Alcaraz overcame a punishing draw to capture his first major title. He rewrote the history books, and not only was he a Grand Slam champion, but he was also the youngest world number 1. A childhood obsession was now a reality. But achieving all this wasn't easy, and it took a special set of skills, something rarely seen in young talent. What makes Alcaraz stand out is not just his youth, but the kinetic, multi-dimensional style of play he represents on the court. If the big three represented perfection, Federer's serve and slice, Nadal's speed and topspin, and Djokovic's defense and return, then Alcaraz was the fusion of them all. His game is built on speed, power, and creativity, the centerpiece of them all being his forehand. His whip-like shot has incredible spin, often feeling violent to his opponents, and is characterized as an explosive modern weapon. Even more, his unpredictability is brilliant, shifting seamlessly from defense to attack. But the shot that truly sets him one step apart is the confident and daring drop shot. This is something Alcaraz deploys with surgical precision on the court, making a psychological statement. After that comes his creativity, supported by excellent movement, and possibly his best attribute. He combines speed with the balance and flexibility of a cat, graciously covering the court to turn defense into offense. And mentally, you rarely see him without a smile, nor does he seem stressed. He looks like a man who can carry the world on his shoulders and win. But perhaps the best way to describe him is simply to say, he is a fusion of old-school grit and next-gen innovation. Now, the true rise of Alcaraz didn't come from defeating his peers. It came when he took the fight directly to the legends. Federer retired. Nadal was aging. But Djokovic remained a dominant force, the gatekeeper of the sport's most hallowed titles, if you will. And for a new hero to rise to the top, the old guard had to be defeated. This defining moment came at the dramatic 2022 Madrid Open. On clay, it was going to be difficult to face King Nadal, but Alcaraz did the unthinkable. He ripped through his idol, Nadal, in the quarterfinals, bringing him face-to-face with the king. Then, in a stunning display of grit and determination, Djokovic fell in the semifinals. But Alcaraz wasn't done. He went to the final, defeating Alexander Zverev in straight sets. It was a clear, unambiguous statement that the future was here. But as impressive as that was, Wimbledon 2023 was the career-defining symbolic moment, the true passing of the crown. By sheer fate, Alcaraz once again came face-to-face with Djokovic, the seven-time champion, and possibly the greatest player of a generation. This wasn't a semifinal, but the final at Wimbledon, where pressure can make or break you. Djokovic tried to secure his 24th title, but what followed was a stunning five-set match. Djokovic won the first. Carlos responded, winning the second and third, before Novak responded, winning the fourth. It all came down to the fifth and final set, 6-4 to Alcaraz, which saw him lift the trophy. But more importantly was that he defeated Djokovic on the grandest stage, a true passing of the torch. But Alcaraz's influence goes beyond records and rankings. He has become a cultural and generational icon. He is a humble and authentic human being, bringing a palpable kind of joy to the court. It is this cultural shift that is visible across the tennis landscape. Kids no longer want to mimic Nadal. They are practicing the risky drop shot. And even more, he has become the brand standard bearers for Nike and Babolat. He basically made tennis cool again for Gen Z. But like Nadal and Federer, he still has a dynasty to build. Alcaraz might be leading the new era, but the path isn't without its challenges. Every great champion faces an equally great rival that pushes him to their psychological and physiological limits. For Alcaraz, these new chapters are defined by the cool and calculating Yannick Sinner, the dynamic Holger Rune, and the all-court American Ben Shelton. Like Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer, he faces the same challenges of remaining consistent. But being the best is just the start. To become legendary, he needs to prove this for decades to come. In just a few years, Carlos Alcaraz has gone from Spanish prodigy to central figure in world tennis. He blends the aggression and innovation of history, creating a high-wire style that is all his own. Carlos Alcaraz isn't the next Rafael Nadal. He is the first Carlos Alcaraz, and this new generation has just begun. Now, make sure you are subscribed to our channel and check out this video on Nadal's record-breaking win at Roland Garros next.